Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. If this is your very first time here, my name is FiddlinJonny and this is my Fiddle channel and magic product review. And before I do any magic product review, I always do just a quick fiddle tune. So let's see what comes out of this old box and we'll get into our magic product review. There we are. All right, we got the fiddle tune out of the way. Let's get to what are we reviewing. We are reviewing something Vanishing Inc put out a little while ago, not super long ago, but it is Ben Seidman's permanent record. Now, I've seen the trailers for this. I really liked the trailers for it. I know there's other folks who've done reviews on it. I wanted to get it because I thought this might be something I could use. So anyway, stick around. I've put it some road testing and we'll see what I think of it. First of all, let me say thank you for being here. I want you to know I really do appreciate it. I missed last week, by the way. I was in Vegas this last week and having a great time. I always love going to Vegas and working on stuff there and seeing shows and just the spectacle of Vegas. I always enjoy. So sorry I didn't get anything posted last week. My bad. I was off having a good time. Sorry. All right, let's talk about Ben Seidman's permanent record. What the heck is permanent record? And I saw on forums people going, I don't get it. I saw the trailer and I still don't get what the effect is. The effect is, in essence, you have, and I'm going to go over the most simple routine that's on here. You have multiple routines, but the most simple of the routines is you ask the spectator to think of a card, and it happens to be the card that's printed on the back of your tuck case. So, you know, all of them these days, Bicycle has on the back a printed card. You then basically put this, you pull out your card, set it in your spectator's hand, you have a spectator pick a card, and lo and behold, spectator's card is now the card that is printed on the back of the tuck case. So the back of the tuck case has changed in terms of the printed card that is on there. That's the effect. That's the most simple effect on here. Now some of you will go, wait a minute, wasn't that already released by whomever? And the quick answer is sort of. Back in 2010 and 2011, somewhere around there, Jonathan Picard released an effect called ambidextrous. It essentially uses the same method, maybe slightly different routing, but the method is the same. I think Mark Mason also had a release along the same time, similar. Juan Pablo, somebody else, and Brad Henderson. Those are all guys who have had similar releases. The nice thing is that Ben does an awesome job with crediting, and it's clear that he goes out of his way to make sure that he's had the blessing, especially of Jonathan Picard, the original sort of creator of this gaff system. Jonathan Picard is so spot on that he actually includes in the tutorial his original handling of it, so has his full blessing, which I think is really great and awesome and just speaks to the stand-up guy and the way to conduct yourself as a creator in this community. Okay, so, one other thing. If you purchase this, make sure you watch the tutorial before you open your deck of cards, because you want to make sure that you're leaving the cellophane more than anything else on your deck of cards. All right, so we've talked about the effect. Let's talk about what do you get. So basically, in this box here, you're going to get this deck of cards. The deck of cards is a gaffed deck, which means it's a specially printed deck of cards. It's not sort of like a gimmick where it does something. It's just that they're specially printed cards, all right? In addition to that, you're going to get 4 more additional gaff cards that are essentially the reveals on the back of your tuck case. You're going to get, oh, there, I threw my tuck case. To do different reveals on the back of your tuck case. 2 of them are going to be for a blue back deck. 2 of them are going to be for a red back deck, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. So that's what you're getting in terms of physical product. You're also going to get a tutorial that's downloadable and streaming. It's 1 hour and 18 minutes, and it's done by Ben Seidman himself, the creator, along with Jonathan Picard, who originally released Ambidextrous. So that's what you're getting. Usually at this point I talk about how are the instructions, and it's typically like, oh, the lighting was great, and it's mic'd well, and the studio's great. That's all good. Doesn't matter. It has all the stuff you would normally think of or that you would expect in a good release that Vanishing Inc puts out. You're going to get multiple routines. I'm just not going to go into all the routines. All you need to do is go read the ad copy. I really have checked the ad copy, make sure that it's accurate, not misleading, and I feel very comfortable with the ad copy on this release. Where I do think the gold is in this tutorial, and I think it's the gold in this project, is Ben Seidman's teaching of the subtleties that he uses in this release. And the subtleties are things that you might think of like, oh, that's not going to make that big of a deal. But it is in those small actions that cement and up the level of believability that they are seeing real magic in real time. And not only that, the subtleties that he teaches are transferable. You can add these into other card effects that you do, or think about it in terms of from an effect point of view, in terms of how you approach magic. So I like that they're transferable to other sort of effects that you might be that you might do. And they should not be dismissed. Those subtleties really can go a long way. And for me, that was my favorite part of this release. I love the effect, don't get me wrong there. But on the tutorial, that was what grabbed me the most and something that I really, personally, really liked. He also mentioned like one of his mentors, which is Armando Lucero. And I don't know if folks are familiar with him or not. I wasn't very familiar with him, but I really appreciated that Ben spoke about Armando, and it led me down a little bit of a rabbit hole of just some great stuff there. So anyway, he scratches the surface there, and I appreciate sort of the introduction to Armando Lucero on this release. He also I know that I noticed that a lot of folks have reviewed this, so you might be already familiar with this. He does incorporate this technique that he calls cups, which is essentially pre-show work in the walk-around table hopping environment, which is not something I typically think about or have. Okay, I don't think about it. So I actually really liked the thinking, and I think for somebody who's working, semi-professional or professional, it was just, it's a small sort of tangent, but some good thinking around pre-showing folks in a walk-around gig. And I am personally, pre-show does fascinate me because I'd like to do pre-show, although I don't have a lot of opportunities or effects that really would involve them. But I love the idea of pre-show and would love to be really good at more of that. So that's probably one of the reasons that I gravitated towards that. Okay, let's talk about, normally I'd say, how is the gimmick? Well, it's not a gimmick, it's a gaff. And what I mean by a gaff is that it's a specially printed deck of cards. So the entire deck is gaffed along with the 4 additional gaffs. You're only going to use one additional gaff, essentially, which is the reveal on the back of your tuck case. They're United States playing card printed cards, so they're great quality. If you use USPCC playing cards, that's what you're getting. So obviously they'll wear out over time, depending on how much you handle them, but at what the price for this release is, I'd just buy myself a new set when you're done if you're using the gaff deck. But when we talk about how is the gaff, it's important for you to know that this release is so good for somebody who's just starting off in Magic and that you don't have any sleights that you have to learn or difficult moves. You can watch the tutorial, and after practicing in the mirror for 5 minutes, you could probably go out and perform this and amaze people. If you are a working professional and you've been working for years or decades, this is just as good for you because the effect is a solid effect, and you're going to get teaching that goes from essentially a beginner to more advanced. You're not getting any knuckle busting moves. I would say advanced to beginner, but stuff that maybe someone who's been doing Magic for many years is all stuff that you know. So basically what I'm saying is if you want to get rid of the gaff deck and use a regular deck of cards in this, you can, and you would just simply then use one gaff. And that way you could end 100% clean if you wanted to, or if you're comfortable doing a deck switch, you'll end 100% clean as well, which would be one of my questions. Like, since you're using those gaffs, do I end clean? At the end, all of the heat should be on your tuck case. Your tuck case will always be 100% clean and examinable at the end, and your spectator can handle that. But depending on if you use the gaffs or not, if you use the gaffs, you're not for your deck, you can't end clean. So you would either do a deck switch or not hand out the cards. But most folks shouldn't be asking for the cards based upon how this routine is structured. But if you wanted to do it without a gaff deck, you could do that as well, depending on your comfort level. All right, so I think that sort of covers like what's the skill level, beginner, but it's just as great for a working professional. In this release, this is a worker release, very straightforward. And even if you're working professional and we're like, how difficult are those? I mean, we're talking things like, can you do a double lift? Do you know how to force a card? If you can do that, I don't know if I would even consider that advanced, maybe advanced beginner or intermediate beginner. That's the level that we're talking about. All right, so there's no angle issues on this. Practice in front of the mirror, because I think in terms of when I talk about angles, the only thing is it might be, you might inadvertently flash. And so that's why I say practice in front of the mirror. That's how I practice. And I noticed a couple times I flashed during practice and it made me super aware of it. And then that was fine. I corrected that for real world performance. Okay, I haven't performed this online. And I thought this is not going to translate very well into an online performance. No problem. Translated really, really well. The exception is obviously I couldn't hand out cards or the tuck case to folks, but they seem pretty well blown away. So it even works in that environment. However, I would say it's probably best for walk around close-up magic is where the sweet spot for this is. All right, who's gonna like this? I think anyone who does that type of magic. I think if you're a hobbyist and you perform just for your friends or at work and at the office, you're gonna love it. If you're a working professional, you'll like it as well. And it's really suitable for that close-up magic. The cost is $24.95 in the United States. To me, this might be one of the most reasonably affordable releases I've seen in the last year. I think that's a great price point. If you were just buying a gaff deck of cards for $25, that's great, but you're getting this great tutorial from somebody who has used this in their working repertoire for years. So you're getting a lot at that price point. So I think the price is really, really good. All right, that's it. If you purchased it, leave me a comment and add to the conversation about your pros and cons and what you think about it. Also, just leave a comment because I love interacting with all of you, just to say hi, how you're doing, hope everything is going well in your world and that type of stuff. So always appreciate that. If you haven't yet subscribed, hit that subscribe button. What are you waiting for? I'm coming up here in March on another anniversary of doing these releases. It'd be great for you to be around and a subscriber for the 4th year here. And also hit that like button. I always appreciate it. It helps the algorithms, and I appreciate it when you hit that like button. So thank you very much for doing that. All right, everyone. I'm FiddlinJonny, and remember to keep fiddling around with your magic. I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.